Hi, I'm Jamila, personal development coach and founder at Teal Training and Consulting, and I'm here to share with you today some of my most recommended tips to help you have a positive attitude at work. These tips will also be things that you can use to help you achieve employment success in 2026. Having a positive attitude in the workplace is good for everyone, yourself included, and is a great way for you to feel that you're in a space where you can be productive, where you can foster good relationships that help with teamwork, where you can feel a reduction of stress. You can feel more motivated, and also creates a space where you feel that you have psychological safety, and it allows you therefore to go to work and comfortably share ideas, thoughts and opinions you may have on how you're working. It's important to mention at this point that no matter how much you love your job, there will be days where you just do not want to go in. There'll be days where you don't feel like being there. There will be days where you feel like throwing in the towel. And that could be because of the fact that you may have received some negative feedback about a piece of work that you've been working on. It could be that you've had a negative comment made by a colleague. All these things are very normal. And obviously, I am here to encourage you to go anyway, to do the work anyway, and to try and remain as professional as possible. It's normal to have the feelings, but it's important that we try and find a way to manage them as best as we can so we can continue to be professional, show up for the work that we've agreed to do or the work that we're committing ourselves to, and continue through the day and find an appropriate time to manage and deal with or acknowledge the emotions that arise during the working day. There are a number of ways that positive behaviours can show up in the workplace, and there are a number of things that we want to avoid if we want to keep up the positive behaviours or positive attitudes at work. I'm going to start us off with number one, which is to be respectful. When thinking about respect, it's important for us to have a think about what constitutes as disrespect. So, what does disrespect look like in the workplace? And it can show up in many ways. It can look like an individual who is being really dismissive of their colleagues who are trying to share an opinion, speaking over their colleagues when they're trying to share that opinion, using bad, negative language, speaking loudly in the office to a colleague who may feel that they have a low opinion of a manager and may then want to share their low opinion of the manager that they have with the colleagues or with other colleagues or teammates in the office. Even if you think your manager or your supervisor is an absolute idiot, you should never ever share that with anybody in the office environment. Bad mouthing them will only make you look immature, so it will have the opposite effect. It's bad office etiquette and it actually shows you in a bad light. So avoid this at all costs. Some of the ways that you can show respect are by being polite. So, respecting everybody, treating everybody as equal, acknowledging people. So saying hello, whether it's the cleaner or the CEO, actively listening, which is something that we covered in the last episode, and also respecting company policies. So there are times where you might not agree with all the company policies, but they have been put there for a reason. So respect them and follow them as much as possible. At number two, we have honesty. Now, honesty is something that at some point or another during your career you may struggle with. It's something that at some point you will have to face as you navigate your career. Once you find yourself in a role that you really, really enjoy, you're really wanting to make a good and a lasting impression. But if you're in the learning phase of that role, there may be times where you may make one or two mistakes. And whilst we're talking about honesty, it's important for us to acknowledge that this is about having integrity and owning up to some of the mistakes that we may make in the workplace, which is perfectly normal. Honesty is about having clear and transparent communication with our colleagues and with our line manager, especially if there are any mistakes that have been made that we would like to rectify or that we want to own up to. And we're willing to show, or we're using the opportunity to show that we can be solutions focused. So this is about, for example, I've been asked to deliver a piece of work. I've delivered the piece of work, but I've made a few mistakes along the way, and I've just realized as we've approached the deadline. Rather than avoiding having that conversation with our line manager, we are having the conversation with our line manager to explain what has happened and to also come forward with a way that we can get around or move past or correct the error. These are great things for demonstrating a positive attitude and will really bode well for you as you move into or progress in your career in the role or the department that you're working in. So number 3 is dependable. Now, being dependable is all about you showing up, you showing that you are committed to the tasks that you've been set, you being in the workplace when you're supposed to be in the workplace, being there on time, showing that you're willing to take ownership and responsibility for the tasks that you've been set. Basically, what you're doing here is showing your colleagues and your line manager that you are the person to deliver a high standard of work and that they can count on you to deliver that high standard of work on request whenever they need it. Being dependable is a key trait for positive workplace behaviours. It feeds into that psychological safety by making other people around you feel supported, which is fantastic for building a positive workplace culture. Point 4 is all about professional presentation. Now, this is the part that most people enjoy. This is the part that allows you to express yourself accordingly. So you want to make sure when you're going into work that you're dressed the part. Make sure that you're aware of what your company policy is in terms of dress code. Make sure that what you're wearing or how you show up to work in terms of your clothing is reflective of the company policy. One of the things about how we express ourselves through clothing is that it has a really, really positive impact on our mood. So if you dress good, you feel good. If your mood is lifted, then it's likely to spill over into the workplace and again rub off on all of the other people that you share the office environment with. So it's a win-win for positive attitude and behaviours at work. Point 5 is to avoid gossip. Now, gossip is something that is very common and it's something you will experience at some point or another in your career. Gossip is in every single workplace environment. And my advice to you is to avoid. Do not get involved or do not involve yourself in gossip. There is nothing positive that comes from being involved in gossip. Gossip or gossiping can lead to a toxic environment, which is taking us away from what we're trying to achieve. We want to contribute to a positive environment. We want that psychological safety that we spoke about earlier, and gossiping is not the way to doing that. Gossiping leaves others feeling that they can't trust you if they're seeing that you're involved in gossip, which reduces morale and also is damaging to your reputation. So if you are trying to progress within the department, within the organization that you're working for, then gossiping is not the way to do that. People will see you as unprofessional and not somebody that they want to keep around. So that's it for my top tips with helping you have a more positive attitude at work. Hopefully these tips are something you can use to help you with achieving your employment success in 2026. For more, please like, comment and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.